Thanks for staying with us. Joining us to talk about Flapcoop, Asset Rise Company, the journey so far, and the socio-economic impact they have made through the Nigerian real estate and agricultural space is the president himself, Flapcoop, and general manager and director, Asset Rise Limited, Mr. Oluwarotimi Ojamamuyi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So when we heard of Flapcoop, we're thinking, what is this about? Because every day we come up with all sorts of names and all sorts of projects and this and that. What is Flapcoop and Asset Rise?
Great. So thank you, ladies. A pleasure to be here. Flapcoop is Flexible Luxury and Asset Payments Limited, the acronym for FLAP. But as a cooperative, we have to measure to Flapcoop.
Okay.
And we're licensed by the Lagos State Ministry of Trade, Commerce and Cooperative to practice cooperative, organizing people to save and to own assets, and whatever means we can practice cooperative. But having been on the journey of cooperative so far, our aim is to actually accelerate our members to own assets as a means of solving poverty. So how I mean is, if you practice the normal banking system, over 80% of savings account holders can access loans because, in quotes, they are not viable to access loans. You then have to go and bring a CFO that you don't have or other documents. So we saw, how do we alleviate poverty from this 80%? Our journey is to bring them up to owning assets like real estate so that they can have CFO, they can have properties. And when they have this, they are eligible for financial stability and can always have access to loans and other facilities. And when we talk about Asset Rise now, so we saw this journey and we have to also create a real estate company called Asset Rise Limited. In simple meaning, let the asset rise. And the people become asset owners, they escape from poverty, they're landlords, and the rest.
So I know that you have a project ongoing at Ekpe. Can you tell us about it?
Okay, thank you. With Asset Rise and with Flapcoop, we've been able to focus more on agriculture and real estate. And our project in the agriculture is creating transitional model for real estate. How I mean is, we buy land in developing locations, especially maybe Ekpe or other developing locations. And possibly you buy because these places will go up in value later. But you leave this land fallow and nothing is done on them and bush grow on it. So what we have done is, when you buy cheap, let's create an economic value out of this land. We rent the land from you and we plant on it. So in some of our estates, like in Kobakbaya, Beokuta, and City Link Gardens, and Mowel Fada, Crystal City Ambience, and in Ekpe Visionary Garden City, we have acres of cassava plantation that are owned by, we partner with landlords to make this farm happen. The security is your land. When the development comes close to this area, we simply remove our plants and the land will have add value over time. So for the landlords, your land is adding value over time, but your land is also giving you passive income. So it's not until you build that house and you rent it out before you start earning rental income.
Yes.
By owning a land, you can earn rental income.
I'm enjoying this conversation because the objective of owning land those days is to be economically empowered. These days, we just think that until you buy, build, and then rent houses, there's no other way to own properties. I'm glad that you have this initiative. So break it down for somebody listening, so that if it's what I'm thinking, when you farm on the product, on the land economically, this is what you're looking at the end of the day. These are the opportunities you can use. How does it become an asset? How does farming
become an asset? Great. So the land is the asset. We practice farming on your land, and we pay you rental income. Now we do a 20% rental income to the landowners. And we harvest, we process.
20%? 700,
thousand naira.
700, you'll be getting 20% of that every year.
Every year.
Now, so you earn on your land, and when development comes, so we've had this model sustained over time. One of our recent estates, the City Ambience in Mowel Fada, was on this scheme. We just developed that into a residential estate now because there's electricity in that community now with a tarred road, and we have to stop farming for people to start building. So from agriculture, now a residential estate, and people can live in it.
So wait, let me be sure. So I buy land from you.
Yeah.
The land I bought for you, you pay me 20% of rent every year.
Yes.
To farm on it.
Yeah.
Now, when you harvest, do I get a profit from what the harvest?
No.
Oh, it's yours.
It's
Yeah,
ours.
So
that's,
it's
that's
rent.
what we're paying you
That's
rent.
So, yeah,
income.
so it's
Rental
20%. Can't I increase it to 50% increase?
I'm going
bought
on the
it.
land now.
And can I,
If
can
I'm
I do the
interested
farm?
in the farming, for instance,
So-
Can I tell you to farm for me on my
Yes.
behalf?
Yeah, so we've created this
some of us are
project
farmers.
in a different model.
Okay.
You can farm by yourself, and we can farm for you. So we have the temporary crops like the cassava, the maize, and the rest of them that you can harvest within 3 months, 1 year. Presently in Ekpe, we have over 10,000 ridges of yam. By February, we'll be harvesting our yam and cassavas. So for these people, if you want to farm, you can come. It's your land. If you are not renting to us, we don't.
Can
It's
you
not a
farm on
must.
their behalf and give them
Yes, we're farming on your.
But how would
we
you
can.
So how would your profit come?
So it's your land. If you don't rent to us, it's still your land.
Okay.
It's not a must you rent
So
to
if you
us.
farm for me, how would you earn?
So if you're farm, then we are managed. We have to sign an MOU to share profits.
Okay.
If we're farming for you.
Okay.
So, but for this very one now, we have another project, which is the Palm Ridge Estate that I'm going to talk about.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So the Palm Ridge Estate, what we are doing there, it's cash crops, and we all know the value of cash crops, especially the palm tree.
Yeah.
The palm tree is an everlasting tree, and I'll share this story with you. As a young boy, I grew up seeing my father having a fleet of cars, and we're going to the best of schools. And then when we were in school, I hardly would tell my friend my father is a farmer. Because then, if your father is not an engineer or something, you're not proud of him.
Your father is not woke.
Exactly. So one day, my father came to school with Mercedes-Benz 230D. And none
that time.
of that is in our school then. That was the first. So all the students rushed out and see Mercedes-Benz 230D. And I was so proud to see my father.
Oh, the farmer.
The farmer. So, but yes, I think the second year after that, he died when I was 14. When we look back, if all we were having as an asset is the Mercedes-Benz 230D, it would be a foolish thing because by today, it would be in the museum. But my father left acres of palm trees. Until today, all the children were sent to school with palm tree farming. We mill this oil every month. We produce over 100 kegs every month. Today, a keg of palm oil is more expensive. A 25-liter keg of palm oil is more expensive than a 25-liter keg of petrol.
Yes.
A keg of palm oil in Lagos is around 25,000 now. In my village, it's 20,000. So we mill oil and we pay all our bills. And that land has appreciated in value also. Today, we are sitting on an asset over 100 acres, and we have palm trees on it. So what we have done in this, during COVID, I have to go to the October Oil Palm PLC. We have over 10,000 acres that were planted by the colonial master then, but abandoned and, Nigeria. So we rented over 130 acres. We set up a mill, and we also to create a community of farmers also. We worked it out for 300 of them, spoke with our bank, created an account for them, and we started this journey. So we had a mill, we had a farm, and with our real estate practice, we have to bring this to Lagos. And we identify a place like Ekpe. We did our soil test. The soil can accommodate palm tree.
Right.
And we started planting. Right now, for those who are subscribing to the palm tree farming, when you buy the land, we will plant for you. You own the land. You own the palm trees. You have the right to either rent it to us because you don't have time. So people like Murayo can leave the studio and come to the farm.
Exactly.
So you can either employ a farm manager to mill your oil for you because we're going to have a central mill. We are creating a community of palm tree farmers, 300 acres.
Wow.
And that's going to be the biggest in Lagos
Massive.
to say.
Wow.
And we can mill this oil together and supply. We all know the value of oil.
I'm interested.
The
I
international
am.
market.
Sounds interesting.
I am.
Somewhere, let me
Yeah,
let you jump in here.
I know that when it comes to agricultural agric in Nigeria, there are a few challenges. There are volatility of your investment. People say rain no fall, can just change. They can change it for that
dynamics,
business, you know. Everything can just go, anything can go wrong. So what is the level of security for the assets? And I also know that with palm, you don't get anything in the first few years. So is it that when you do the palm rich process, would they be getting any money in the first 3 years, or there'll be nothing coming to them in that first 3 years?
Thank you. So the very special of palm tree we are planting is the Tenera breed. And right now with Nifo, that's the best breed we have in Nigeria. In 2 years, 3 years, it starts fruiting.
Okay.
So we tell our people, wealth is not a tap of the finger. You grow wealth. And, okay, so for those who are doing the cassava thing, they don't want to do palm tree. But when the land stops yielding very good, because we may not be practicing the mechanized farming with all the stuffs, the palm tree guy will still be making money for the next 30, 40 years. Now, the risk involved and the volatility of the weather and every other thing is that we don't plant crops that are easily destroyed by weather. So take cassava, for example. It can stay anywhere and survive with the sun, with the rain. The palm tree also can survive anywhere. And we've understood also that crowdfunding, it's not the best model for this. And that's why we've created a security. You own the asset. So you're not giving us your money and we say we'll pay you capital and interest. No. The asset is yours. The land is appreciating in value over time and you're making money from your land.
And then after 40 years, you can be converted into
residential estate.
All right, so we have to wrap up on you, but how do we reach you? Because this obviously is your segment. Tell them, is there a number? Is there a website? How do we reach you?
Okay, so we are live website, www.flapcoop.com, assetrise.com.ng. Our phone number is on the screen. You can reach us.
You cannot see it on the screen, no?
Flapcoop.com
is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can visit the website and call us in. We will take you for inspection. You see your land, subscribe, and you also get a title for your land and the rest. And lastly, we want to say that, you know, assets are the only tangible way for growing wealth. Imagine when you own a land in Magodo today and the worth of it. Imagine Lekki 29 years back. So by 2050, which will be 30 years to say from now, your land will become over 100 million or thereabout, just like the Lekki you have today.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So I have to remind our viewers that ladies of your view or TVC are not investors in any way of Flapcoop. So it's just our guest for today. We're not investors, but we're also hearing it for the first time. If you're interested, you can reach them. But TVC, all the ladies of you are not part of this company in any shape or fashion.